Hello everybody, my name's Sam. Thank you very much for joining me today. I am going to be talking to you about the humble artichoke. Look at that, what a fantastic vegetable that is.
In this video, I'm going to briefly talk about the botanical culture, the historical culture, and finally touch on the microbial culture. So let's get started. Here is the picture of the artichoke in flower. When we harvest it, we're actually harvesting the immature flower bud, which is botanically known as the capitula. The flower bud is surrounded by these hard bracts. The bracts often get confused for the leaf, so I've shown the leaf separately here. The leaf is predominantly used in herbal medicine, whereas the bud is used for culinary purposes. Here is the cross-section of the edible parts. It's a funny-looking vegetable, and we do wonder why our ancestors chose to eat this. Roseanne makes a point that humans are neophilic, meaning we have a tendency to be interested in new potential foods. Moving on to the historical culture, the vegetable originated in the Mediterranean. The taxonomic name is Cynara scolymus, which means cinereous plant with ashes, and scolymus meaning thistle. This was probably referring to the way it was grown and fertilized. The first references of it being recognized as a food and medicine seem to appear around the 4th century, and it seems to be popular with the Egyptians, Greeks, and Romans. Records show that it probably started to be domesticated in Sicily. However, it was the Arab agricultural revolution between the 12th and 16th centuries that really saw its distribution become more widespread. Throughout this time, it becomes more popular in Spain and Morocco, and we can see that it starts to influence more Spanish and Moorish dishes. In the 16th century, Catherine de' Medici was very influential in introducing the artichoke into France when she married the future King Henri II. This made them highly prized and expensive, and it gives an example of a concept that we know today called culinary capital. Rose refers to this as adopting specific practices and behaviours because of the status that comes with doing so. They soon become established across Northern Europe, including the UK, and in the 17th century, Annette Hope, in her book A Caledonian Feast, refers to a series of letters written from John Coburn to his gardener Charles Bell. John Coburn seems to be quite a tyrant to his long-suffering gardener. He clearly prizes his artichokes and constantly badgers poor Charles Bell to ensure that they are adequately looked after. Here's another example of a wealthy patron prizing this vegetable. This painting was commissioned in 1724 and shows a number of fine foods reflecting the status of the owner. A little bit dark at the back, but you can just about see the artichokes. Hope's book also makes other references to the artichoke. They appear in John Reed's 1683 book, The Scots Gardener. This is more of a gardening manual aimed at the country estates. She also refers to market gardeners in Leith and East Lothian, making them available to the general public, and comments on Osgood Mackenzie, remembering his grandmother having a string of dried artichokes in her store cupboard. Moving forward to the 1920s, we can't not mention this guy, Cira Terranova. He became known as the Artichoke King because he controlled the market for them in New York during this time. He was part of the mafia underworld and massively inflated prices, selling artichokes to local Italian immigrants and making himself a fortune in the process. I want to briefly look at the nutraceutical side. The artichoke was traditionally used as a remedy for digestion and liver complaints in Italy, but today we have a better understanding of the chemical compounds and composition. Recent research has shown that it is rich in a number of vitamins and minerals, and particularly prevalent are two compounds, cynarin and inulin. Cynarin is predominant in the leaf and root, and clinical studies have shown it promotes digestion and bile production. Inulin is found in all parts and particularly benefits our intestinal gut flora. There is currently a lot of research into the culture of our human microbiome, and it is interesting to see that the artichoke plays a positive role in increasing the levels of good bacteria. Latanzia does also point out that these broad therapeutic indications cannot be ascribed to a single, but to several active compounds that together generate additive or synergistic pharmacological effects. So we should be mindful that the artichoke as a whole food is better than its isolated compounds. We must also remember, while it's good to eat healthy foods, we must be mindful of not to alienate others. Velasco makes a good point. Eat inappropriate foods and you're an outsider. Finally, I just want to consider the future of soil culture. Not only can this vegetable improve our human microbiome culture, but there have been some studies on improving organic soils by using this as a cash cover crop. A study in Italy in 2015 showed that artichokes may play a double role of cash and cover crop. It was found that the heads could be harvested in the normal way, whilst the remaining plant was incorporated back into the soil as a green manure. The study showed soil fertility was significantly improved, and subsequent crops of squash and lettuce were also improved in yield terms. Well, that concludes this video. Thank you very much for joining me. I hope some of this information, both past and present, has been of use to you. As Carlos Petrini states, taste is both flavour and knowledge. So hopefully the next time you eat an artichoke, it will be even more enjoyable.